floating point method and intercepts, we're going to look at the last way that we could graph a line, which is the slope-intercept form. Now for this, it's highly critical to memorize this formula. Y is equal to mx plus b. Now, I never really talked about the equation as much in the other videos, so I do want to point out that this m and b are very important for the slope-intercept form. Now this m here stands for your slope, and by definition that's equal to rise over run. And this b off to the side is your y-intercept. And we looked at that in the previous video when we did intercepts, and we got a glimpse of what a y-intercept would look like. That's when the x value is 0. Now, let's say you're given an equation like this. I'll just pick the first one we did for the plotting point method. 2/3 x minus 1. All we need to do is identify what my m and b here is, and that's enough information for me to graph my line. So the question is, what is my m and what is my b? Well, my m is always going to be left of my variable x here. So it turns out to be the 2/3. And the b is just a number off to the side, which is the minus 1. It's not exactly in the form how I've written it, but you could make it look like that if you wanted to. It's just plus minus 1. So the signs don't really matter. It's just a number off to the side. Negative 1. And that's really all we need to graph a line using the slope-intercept form. And we're about to see that using our x and y plane. Okay, now that we have our m and b, that's all we need to see what our graph is going to look like in this case. Now, this y-intercept, I could rewrite that in a different way because I know the y-intercept is actually an ordered pair or a point. And I know a y-intercept happens when my x value is 0. So you could look at it this way. So I'm going to go ahead and plot my y-intercept first. For the suggestions in this series, that's the first thing I'm going to suggest to you. Go straight to your y-intercept, which is 0, negative 1, which is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to start at the origin, move 0 in the x direction, and go down 1 unit. That'll be my y-intercept, which is my b, which is my y-intercept. It's so many things. Now, what you want to do from your y-intercept is do what the slope's telling you to do. We mentioned that the slope was rise over run. So in this case, since I have a positive number here, we're going to rise upward, and we're always going to rise to the right. If you want to rise to the left, we could look at that later. But me personally, if it's positive, I always go up. If it's negative, I run downwards, but I always move to the right myself. So from this point, we're going to rise up 2 units. 1, 2. And from there, we're going to move over 3 units. 1, 2, 3. See, it's not good to put these points here because they get confusing. And that's it. Because these 2 points are going to generate a line for me as we saw previously. I could do that one more time. See, from this point, I would just have to do what the slope's telling me to do again. Rise up 2 units, go over 3 units. So from here, I'm going to go up 2 units and over 3 units. Now that case I was telling you with the backward thing is, let's say I wanted to see what a point over here would look like. You'd have to do the opposite of what the slope's telling you. So instead of going up 2 units, you'd have to go down 2 units. And instead of going to the right 3 units, you'd have to go to the left 3 units. If you wanted to see what the line's looking like, what activity's happening to the left. And falling apart here, but I think we got it. Okay, again, don't forget your lines, your arrows, because this is the line, this isn't an arrow. Don't forget your arrows at the end of your lines to let people know that this thing goes on forever. Okay, we'll look at more examples next. Okay, continuing on the slope-intercept form. If your equation is not already in the general form, which is y is equal to mx plus b. I know I keep calling it the general form, but this actually is called this. When they say put your line in slope-intercept form, this is what they mean. But it's the general form of a line, so I call it that. Anyways, if it doesn't already look like this, or it's not in terms of y, meaning y is all by itself, you got to do that first. So I'm going to go ahead and solve for this y here. It's being multiplied to 4, and there's some addition going on. So I'm going to take care of the addition first. I'm going to move this 2x over onto the other side, which requires the opposite operation. Opposite operation always cancels it out on the side that you're doing it on. So you get 4y is equal to the 8 that was already there, and now I subtracted the 2x on over to the other side. Now, this 4 is being multiplied, so I know the opposite of that would be to divide it over onto all three terms. That's very important. Don't just, you gotta divide it over onto all the terms. So 4 cancels, you get y is equal to 8 divided by 4 is 2. There's a little reduction here. 2 goes into 4 2 times. So that'll give you a half an x. Now see, this is kind of flip-flopped. It's kind of backwards because my mx term is to the right and my y-intercept is to the left. That's completely fine. If you want to make it look exactly like that, we could go ahead and do that. Y is equal to, write the mx term first, which is the negative half x. And then the plus 2 on the side. If you want to make it look exactly like that. Now it's very easy and clear for me to see what my m and b value is. My m in this case is going to be this negative half, which is just to the left of my variable x. And my b is just the number off to the side, which is a positive 2. Now we know that we're going to be rising downwards because of that negative sign there. And since we have the m and b, we can go ahead and graph it now. Okay, since we solved for y, because it wasn't in standard form with y just on one side, and we identified what our m and b were, we're going to go ahead and plot those and get a general sense of what our line looks like. Now, you don't always have to rewrite the y-intercept as a point. You know the y-intercept is only going to exist on the y-axis, so you could just straight jump to 2 on the y-axis if you like. That's another way you can look at it. So I'm just going to jump straight to 2 here. That's going to be my y-intercept. And from there, I'm going to do what my slope said. Now, in this case, it's a negative. So the only thing that's going to change is I'm going to move down. I'm still going to go to the right. Personally, I always go to the right. Just depending on the sign of my slope determines if I go up or down. Now, from this point, our y-intercept, we're going to do what the slope says. So we're going to go down 1 unit and 2 units to the right. So down 1 over 2. I could do that again. I could go down 1 over 2. And then if I wanted to see what kind of activity was happening up here, I would just have to do it backwards. So instead of going down, I would have to go up 1, and then I'd have to go 2 units to the left. And I could do that again. Up 1 over 2. And now, here comes the hard part. Managed to do it again. Put the arrows on there. Because this thing goes on forever, till infinity and beyond. And I'll see you guys next time.